music. We're going to do a little warm-up to even make the music more special. Okay, ready? Other one. I have two of them. Okay, ready? Haman hated every human. Your turn.
Haman hated every human.
Humans hated every Haman.
Humans hated every Haman.
The hating humans Haman hated.
The hating humans Haman hated.
Hated Haman hating them.
Hated Haman hating them.
All right, now we got to go faster. I had a lot of fun this year making some tongue twisters, and Haman and humans, it just worked out so perfectly.
Can we actually try it fast?
Okay, shall we try it? Okay, so I'm going to go through it one more time, okay? We'll put it in the leaflet next week. Haman hated every human.
Haman hated every human.
Humans hated every Haman.
Humans hated every Haman.
The hating humans Haman hated.
The hating humans Haman hated.
Hated Haman hating them.
Haman hated hating them.
All right, I'll try it fast here. Haman hated every human. Humans hated every Haman. And hating humans Haman hated Haman hating them. I'll do the other one. Okay, here's the other one. Making masks made Marty mad. This one's a little easy.
Making masks made Marty mad.
Masks made Marty's face look sad.
Masks make Marty's face look sad.
So Marty made a mask to match
So Marty made a mask to match
the way he felt when making masks.
the way he felt when making masks.
That one's not as much as a tongue twister, but
Try this one, Rabbi.
all right, you go. Oh, I'm terrible at these.
Yeba Deba Dunkin' Donuts in Dubuque.
I can't. Are you sure that wasn't in Ukrainian there? I can't even figure that out. All right, we welcome you. We're using the Mishkan Tefillah. Those of you joining us, Mark Slonim told me, go to the Watch Live. Oh boy.
Oh yeah, that's where I'm at.
All right, at the Watch Live app, those of you joining us from outside, wherever you are, in the Shir Shalom Buffalo website, Watch Live section, it has the prayer book there. So if you wanted to see it there. It also, I do believe, has the leaflet that we all have in front of us. So if you are joining us, we hope that you'll check it out there, or just trust me, it's there. All right, we're going to begin with a song, Singing Out to God, Shiru Ladonai. It's one of the lead-up songs usually to get ready for Shabbat. And we are on page 648, if you want to follow along. Page 648. Right down there in the corner, in addition to Cantor Frank and I, we have Paul Staley. And it's great to have him.
Shiru Ladonai Kol Haaretz. Shiru Ladonai Shir Chatash. Let's try that again. Shiru Ladonai Kol Haaretz. Shiru Ladonai Shir Chatash. Sing unto God all the earth a new song. I will sing unto God a new song. Sing unto God and we'll all sing along. All the earth a new song unto God. Shiru Ladonai Kol Haaretz. Shiru Ladonai Shir Chatash. I will sing unto God a new song.
Wonderful. What a great way to come into Shabbat. I'd like to invite Bruce Corris over. Bruce Corris is our immediate past president, and he is going to officially welcome you to Shir Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. And to those of you watching on the stream, home, nice and warm. Anyway, it's good to see everyone, and it's good to see faces again. As you know, last week we made the switch to no longer requiring masks for services and other temple events. They're still strongly encouraged. Whatever you are comfortable with, we are still maintaining social distance in the sanctuary, of course. And whether you are masked or unmasked, if you're chatting with someone after the service and they say, you know, you're a little close, please respect that. We always want to employ common sense and common courtesy. If you're not feeling well, stay home. If you're showing any symptoms of COVID, be tested, please. Just let's use common sense and common courtesy. But it is nice, isn't it, to see faces again? Someone came up to me before the service and said, when did you grow a beard? And I think they were talking to me. I was with Alex, with Rabbi Alex. Maybe they were saying, when are you going to grow a beard? I don't know, because, rabbis are supposed to, aren't they? Anyway, so it's good to see everyone. I'll be back later with the announcements. We have lots of stuff coming up, including, as you can see behind the rabbi and the cantor, the Purim Spiel, our 10th anniversary Purim Spiel, which will be Wednesday night. We are very excited about that. And that will also be in person, which is nice that we're able to allow people to come and attend. So I'll be back later with the announcements. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
So if you're among the Purim Spielers, stand up. Let's be shown. We have at least almost half of the Purim Spielers here.
Just about.
It's a small group.
This year for obvious reasons. So we have about half here.
So I'm going to invite Linda over, is it okay, to light our candles. And candle lighting is on page 120, just as you're getting set up there. Bruce, I had a beard all throughout rabbinical school. As soon as I became a rabbi, I got rid of it.
Oh my, how did that feel? I can't imagine
Oh, I feel
that.
so much better. I don't know. I'm not a beard person yet. One day I'll go.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
May the candles of Shabbat light our way through Shabbat. And why don't you pick up our Kiddush cup there as we sanctify Shabbat. Cantor will lead us in the prayer on page 123. 123.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava u'v'ratzon hinchilanu, zikaron le'maseh v'reshit, ki hu yom tehillah le'mikra'ei kodesh, zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim, kivanu v'charta, v'yotanu kiddashta, mikol ha'amim, v'shabbat kodshecha, be'ahava u'v'ratzon, hinchaltanu, Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat.
Amen. L'chaim, to life. Wonderful. Thank you, Linda, for doing that. Let's take a nice deep breath of Shabbat air. We'll breathe in everything we want to hold on to from this past week and breathe out everything we want to get rid of. So very important just to take a moment. So much happens in the world, and in our own lives. And if we don't stop, if we don't have punctuation in our lives, it all kind of blends together. And I know if you're like me, at the end of the week, I said, what did I do this week? What was the weather like? I think it was sunny at some points this week, right? So wonderful to come together. We're going to officially welcome Shabbat into the room with a Chadodi on page 138. And Cantor has a melody. It's called the Jerusalem Temple Melody. What does that mean, the Jerusalem Temple Melody?
There's a synagogue called Kol Hanshama near the Jerusalem Temple, and in the old city. And this was someone visited there and loved the melody and transcribed it and then shared it with the world.
Wonderful. Well, I've been there many times. Their former rabbi, I had worked with him, Levi Wyman Kelman. His father actually marched for civil rights, and he had moved to Israel and started a synagogue in the 1980s. That was a lot of chutzpah because there weren't liberal synagogues back then, and especially when he started having the women carry the Torah. That's good. I didn't know that. Wonderful.
Lecha dodi likra kala, yalalai, 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 b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likra kala, yalalai, 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 b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Shamo v'sachor v'dibor echad, Ishme'anu el ha'miuchad, Adonai echad, u'shmo echad, l'shem u'tiferet v'litchila.
We rise and face the back.
Lecha dodi likrat kalai, yalalai, 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 b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kalai, yalalai, 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 b'nei Shabbat nekabela.
Verse 9.
Boi v'shalom hateret bala, gam b'simcha u'v'tzola, tog emunei ha'masikula, boi chala, boi chala.
And we turn to one another and we wave.
Lecha dodi likrat kalai, yalalai, 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 b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kalai, yalalai, 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 b'nei Shabbat nekabela.
We remain standing for the call to prayer, page 146 with the Baruch.
Baruchu et Adonai hamevorach, Baruch Adonai hamevorach, le'olam va'ed.
Page 149 at the top. Let's read together in the English. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and seasons glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai hama'ariv aravim. On the next page, 150, we sing out our love for God and God's love for us.
Avat olam beit Yisrael, amcha avta, נשיח בחוקיך, ונשמח בדברי תורתך, ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד. כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו, ובהם נגן יומם ולילה. באהבתך תעשה במנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל.
On the next page, 152, 153.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shenkivud Malkuto Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Shenkivud Malkuto Le'olam Va'ed. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
You may be seated. You might have noticed during the song, and I always look at Linda, she's my expert clapper here. But during the song, there's a part where there's clapping. But when you go to the Baruch Shem Kavod, I don't know if Linda taught this to me, because that's often done in quiet. She uses her finger.
The older kids used to snap their fingers, and I realized kindergartners cannot snap their fingers. So that's when I started.
I'm going to relay what Linda said to those joining us outside. When she was working with younger kids, they couldn't snap their fingers. Actually, my 8-year-old is still learning, and so she started to do tapping. Yeah, wonderful. So it is your invention. I figured that's wonderful. I had no idea. We're going to continue with the V'ahavta on page 154.
V'ahavta את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך, ושיננתם לבונך ודיברתם בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות הידך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם המזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
On page 155, let's join in the English for what we just recited. Love your God with every heartbeat, with every breath, with every conscious act. Keep in mind the words I command you today. Teach them to your children. Talk about them at work, whether you are tired or you are rested. Let them guide the work of your hands. Keep them in the forefront of your vision. Do not leave them at the doorway of your house or outside your gate. They are reminders to do all of my mitzvot so that you can be holy for God. I am Adonai, your God. I led you out of Egypt to become your God. I am Adonai, your God. We continue with the Micha Mocha, another set of biblical verses, page 158. 158, about the crossing of the sea.
Ya la la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Mi chamo chavai di badonai, mi chamo chanet abakodesh, norati hilot hosefele, norati hilot hosefele. Madekut kara ufanecha, pokeo yom lifnei Moshe, siri anu ve'ameru, siri anu ve'ameru. Adonai Eloh ve'olam va'ed. Adonai Eloh ve'olam va'ed. Ya-la-la, here we go. Ya-la-la, la-la-la-la-la-la-la. Ya-la-la-la-la-la-la-la. Ya-la-la-la-la, ya-la-la-la-la. Ya-la-la-la-la-la-la-la. So I was having a discussion today with my best cantorial friend. We talk almost every day. We talk only about cantorial stuff for the most
I always
part.
wondered, what do cantors talk about?
We're all about music. We're just all about music. What are you doing? What are you doing? What are, all this stuff. So we started on discussion of Micha Mocha, and I said, I love this Debbie Friedman one, right? Of blessed memory. And it just speaks to me. And I said, I'm just doing it too much. I said, what are you doing? And she sang what she's doing. I said, no, that's not going to replace it for me.
Well, the funny thing is, Micha Mocha, because there's so many melodies, it's the one that trips me up the most. And since we've been more sometimes on virtual, even when I go and I'm starting to leave Micha Mocha, I forget the melody. When I first arrived in Buffalo, they had a slightly different way of doing Micha Mocha, and it took me 2 years to learn it. I thought they were going to fire me because I couldn't learn Micha Mocha.
Oh my. Are you comfortable with this one?
Yeah, so this one I know. But now that we're doing it more in person, so I'm glad. And now I know it's Debbie Friedman's too. Why don't we take an opportunity to rise, and we'll do the Amidah silently. It'll start on 164 through 180. Just take time for your own private reflections and prayers. Often we sing prayers for peace, and we send it kind of out to general spaces in the world that need it, people that need it. I think at this time we know we're going to direct our prayers for peace. Actually, on Sunday night, Cantor and I will be part of a vigil, an interfaith vigil at North Presbyterian at 7 o'clock. And we're going to have the Ukrainian priest who's in Kenmore come. But our hearts are really broken for what's going on in the world, and we hope that peace will return soon. So as we sing Oseh Shalom on 180, just really direct all your prayers and your thoughts all across the ocean to where they're most needed.
Oseh Shalom bimromav hu yaseh Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'himaru amen. Let's try that. Oseh Shalom bimromav hu yaseh Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'himaru amen. Oseh Shalom bimromav hu yaseh Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'himaru amen. Oseh Shalom bimromav hu yaseh Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'himaru amen. Oseh Shalom bimromav hu yaseh Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'himaru amen.
Now, Oseh Shalom, I always get. That one I know. That's a wonderful one.
This is Debbie Friedman's also.
Oh, that is also. Well, there you go. She's all over our service, and I don't
tonight,
even realize
especially.
it. I think we're nearing the yard site, or we already went
Yeah,
over
we
that?
passed it. Just her music spoke to me this week.
Beautiful. We're going to turn our attention to another Debbie Friedman, which is her prayer. This is what she's most known for, which is the Misha Berach prayer on page 371. I'm going to read our list of people that we're thinking about as a community. I just want to say I've been praying a lot for my chaplaincy buddy, James St. George, who's in Philadelphia. He and his wife had a baby about 2 weeks ago, and after 2 days it had meningitis. And it's been in CHOP, Children's Hospital out of University of Pennsylvania, in the NICU for a couple of weeks. It finally, Caleb is his name, he finally got moved closer to where they live, and it's looking very optimistic. So it's amazing. Jim is someone who gave so much consolation to people in similar situations over the years, and so there's a real outpouring of love for him and for his newborn son. So I do hope next week I'll even have better news and he's back home. We're also thinking as a community about Sean Barnes, Stephen Bernstein, William Wade Bokler, Ebony Burse, Dave Bush, who turned 95 this week, Vito Cavallari, Arthur Giselke, Sue Frank, Nancy Hersbrunn, Tracy Kasman, Elizabeth Kent, Gail Kleberg, Mark Nightinger, Manny Queechin, Peter Mackler, Helene Mesh, Jill Shire Monahan, Carol Olashansky, Barbara Organic, Jeffrey Radlin, Caleb St. George, David Sheva, Christopher Smith, Paul Staley, Margaret Stevenson, Athena Tucker Pasiak, Jean Taransky, and Anita Weisel. If there's other names that you'd like to offer? Yep, Rel.
Brandon Ryan, Candy Bergenhagen, Tony Herman.
Joey LeBray.
Jennifer Barrett, Mackenzie. Mike Nicholas. Grace Brooke, Nikki Messiah. Robin Bonnie Price.
Francois Debbie Poole.
We'll take all those names into our hearts and hope the prayers go where they're needed and that the people that we're praying for have strength and feel supported and loved in their moment. Again, 371.
Mi sheberach avotenu mikor habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mi sheberach imotenu mikor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shelema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
A complete healing of body and soul. Shabbat Shalom. It's really nice to be together. When we came here, I know Cantor was here before me and Joanne, the parking lot was empty. It was covered in snow. I was thinking, well, maybe we'll get 2-3 people. And lo and behold, we have a double minion here, which is wonderful. It's been such a strange time. We're about to hit our 2-year anniversary of COVID, the shutdown. COVID, there's different anniversary marks, but I think the most important one is upcoming. That's the morning that I called Bruce over there. And a lot of us can remember that day very clearly. And actually, Gloria sitting behind you, I had 2 moments of that day. That was the last time I saw Gloria for a while, because they were shutting down Weinberg, and I called Bruce, both on the same day. So we have that upcoming. And Purim, of course, it's amazing. We didn't know if we'd be able to be in person. And to be able to be in person, we'll have a smaller group than we probably would have 2 years ago when we filled the whole this whole room here. But I think it matters that it feels like that's the other parentheses on it. We've reached some other mark. God willing. Well, I guess I shouldn't speak too soon, right? But this week, of course, our hearts are heavy, and I'm going to speak a little bit about that. But before I do, I'd like to ask a question, which is kind of advice from you. I'm sure all of you have something to add to this, but does anyone have any techniques for remembering something? Any particular? Think about what technique that you use when you want to remember anything. What? Some of us wish we could. Yeah, Jill.
I sing a list of things to myself to sound like easy to remember songs, and just keep saying the list to myself till I take care of them.
So Jill was saying she sings the list. Actually, singing is probably the one of the things that cantors and music provide. It's very helpful with memory. Actually, I think it's a really important part of what we do here in the synagogue. Anything you want to offer?
If I don't write it down, it's gone.
Writing it down, yeah.
My last television job, they made fun of me because I walked around the newsroom all day with my legal pad. And I wrote
Bruce was saying for his news job, he always wrote everything down on his legal pad. I know Joanne in the back. She's wonderful at keeping notes on. I don't know how she keeps track of her legal pads, but she has a lot of legal pads there. Yep.
Sometimes you can make a story up about something.
Yeah.
Kind of link things together that way.
Wonderful. Paul's saying sometimes you can create a story. Jokes are a good example. I realize the way to remember a joke, and I know I'm not perfect, Bruce, but if you could remember the beginning of the joke and the end of the joke, usually the middle you can kind of fill in. But it's about the story that's very helpful. So there's so many techniques that we have because there's lots of things we need to remember. And actually, in our current age, when we have a smartphone or we have access to Google or to search engines, our need to remember things is a little less immediate because most things we can access a lot easier. A harder thing is trying to forget something. Has anyone here ever tried to forget something? It's hard when you want to, especially late at night when you're trying to go to bed and you want to forget something that happened and it's playing in your mind, right? It's really, really hard. Forgetting something, or as Rabbi Tannenbaum taught me years ago, having a forgettery. It's the opposite of a memory. He loved to coin these different linguistic changes, and it's really important. So we're going to talk a lot about memory, and I'd like to go to something that's very important right now, which is Babi Yar. And I'm going to begin with a very, very famous poem. It's almost 60 years old. It's over 60 years old at this point. And it was originally written in Russian by Yevgeny Yevtushenko. It's called Babi Yar. And I'm going to explain why this poem is as important as it is. But it is really one of the more important poems ever written, I would say. And it's often been put to music. I'm just excerpting it. The poem was a little bit longer. And this is the English translation by Benjamin Okampick. No monument stands over Babi Yar, a steep cliff only like the rudest headstone. I'm in a cage, surrounded and trapped. I'm persecuted, spat on, slandered, and the dainty dollies in their Brussels frills squeal as they stab umbrellas in my face. How vile that without the slightest quiver, the anti-Semites have proclaimed themselves the union of the Russian people. It seems to me that I am Anne Frank, transparent as the thinnest branch in April. And I myself, like one long, soundless scream above the thousands of thousands interred, I'm every old man executed here, as I am every child murdered here. No fiber of my body will forget this. May Internationale thunder and ring, when for all time is buried and forgotten the last of anti-Semites on this earth. There is no Jewish blood that's blood of mine, but hated with a passion that's corrosive am I by anti-Semites like a Jew. And that is why I call myself a Russian. So I'm going to explain in a little bit why that poem is so important. But first, a little bit about the place itself. In Russian or Ukrainian, the word yar, Y-A-R, means ravine. So Babi Yar or Babin Yar, it's called both, means something the equivalent of a baby ravine. It's this long, winding indent that's right outside of Kiev was once filled with trees and was a beautiful, probably a place that you could walk with your family. For the Nazis, it was the place to start the final solution. On Monday, September 29th, 1941, they commanded all the Jews remaining in the area of Kiev, mostly elderly, young women and children, to convene in the ravine at Babi Yar And then over the next 36 hours, they brought them in small groups to the center and began to shoot. The sound must have been deafening, one after another, until by the next day, Tuesday, September 30th, which was Yom Kippur, 33,771 people had been murdered. It's impossible to even get that around your head, how many people died in that 36-hour span. Over the next 2 years, approximately 70,000 additional Jews, Romani, psychiatric patients, LGBTQ+, political prisoners would suffer the same fate in that ravine. And this was not the only place that this occurred in Ukraine. As the death chambers murdered endless streams of Jewish lives across the border in Poland, the earth of Ukraine filled with blood. As a commentator said that I read, there were thousands of other smaller Baba Yars spread throughout Ukraine. This just happened to be the first and the biggest. And I wish that this was the end of the story. To really understand Baba Yar, you have to move into the Soviet era. While the murdering stopped, the desecration of the deceased continued. The genocide of the Jews did not fit into the Russian patriotic narrative about their victory, their great victory over the Nazis. This part of history needed to be systematically removed from Russian history books and from the ground itself. As Natan Sharansky, who was my childhood hero and I had a chance to meet a couple of years ago, he said, Babin Yar is a symbol of the Soviet Union's effort to physically erase memory. They were attempting to physically erase. And let's just see how they did this. They actually flattened the ravine. They didn't want the ravine to be there at all. They brought in water and a dam and hoped to turn it into a park. And they were literally trying to bury this as a historical place, as if it never had existed at all. In 1961, when Yevshenko wrote, and apologies if I mispronounce his name, wrote his famous poem, it was illegal to speak about the massacre. And you can hear that in the poem itself, right? Where he's hated with a passion just like the Jews were, because he wouldn't stand down. He would write about this event. In that same year, 1961, the dam that they built fell apart, and it created a mudslide across the city that killed hundreds of people. They said it was the revenge of Baba Yar because they were trying to eliminate history. Authoritarian regimes often try to erase history. They want us to forget. We see this in Turkey with the Armenian genocide, in an event that still is illegal to talk about 100 years after the fact in Turkey itself. We see it in China with the Uyghurs and Tibet, and we see it with Russia and the invasion of Ukraine. Of course, Baba Yar was already an important focal point of the war, and it might seem strange for us, if you're not familiar with the story, why Putin would specifically target this historical site. You know, why send a bomb? There was a TV station nearby, but why attack Baba Yar? And he was trying to do exactly what had been done in the Soviet Union, as he said, to denazify Ukraine. That was his attempt, to denazify. It was a very specific, intentional act. So this Shabbat is called Shabbat Zachor, the Shabbat of remembrance. And on the Shabbat, we actually read about Amalek. Amalek is the group that we actually know nothing about, other than we believe they attacked us from behind right when we left Egypt. But their memory has been erased. It says in Deuteronomy 25:19, blot out the memory of Amalek. Do not forget it. It's a very strange thing. How do you forget it? How do you blot out a memory and then not forget? And this is the tightrope that we got to walk when we talk about these horrendous actions in this world. We need to forget the people that perpetrated this. We need to remember the victims, and we need to remember that evil is possible in this world. And we read this. Shabbat Zachor happens every year, the week leading up to Purim. Because Purim represents, when we read the book of Esther, the first attempted genocide on the Jewish people. And if you remember historically, Persia is the first diaspora of the Jewish people. This is where the Torah was actually written, likely, in that period. It was when we're the most vulnerable. We no longer have our own army or anything like that. We're very vulnerable. So when a person named Haman, and we can say, boo, comes, and see, you're ready. I'm getting them ready. We always said for our Purim spiel, Arnie Ald always says, don't let them boo, because then we won't be able to hear the words. But we boo, we hiss, we do everything we can, because this is the week of memory. The rabbis figured out that the way that we can blot out the memory and still not forget to blot out the memory is by reserving it for 1 week a year. So by reserving it to 1 week a year, we can go crazy after Haman. But after that, we don't want to think about him. We don't need him in our dreams. We don't want to think about the Hitlers and the Putins eventually in the world. We want to remove them. We want to remember their danger, but forget their memory. And it's a very tricky thing. And one thing that always bothered me in the Purim story. How many of you have read the whole Megillah before? Has anyone read the whole? Yeah, Harvey does. Okay. Chapter 9. Now, you're going to know why. Chapter 9, almost at the end of the Megillah, a terrible thing happens, right? We perpetrate an atrocity. 13,000 people are killed by the Jewish community. In response to Haman's action, these are revenge killing on the 13th of Adar leading up to Purim. It is a very hard section to read today, knowing that we are the ones that caused this. And I always wondered about this. What do we do? What do we do with this story that has us, in the end, acting horribly? What do we do? How do we sanctify this moment? And I realized that the clue was in Baba Yar, is in Putin, and all of this. They want to erase history. Even the parts that we did that were terrible and uncomfortable, we're going to read about them. Even the parts of ourselves that we would rather forget, we need to remember. We can't let Baba Yar, the 33,100 victims on that one day and 100,000 total in that space, they were thrown in there to be forgotten. We can't, as a community, do what Putin or what Hitler or what any of them would want us to do. We're going to read about it. We're going to include it in the Megillah, even if it's hard several thousand years, 2,500 years later to read about it. It's still really important to read about it. That is how you remember and forget and remember again, and why it's so important. So going back to the poem that he wrote that with great, and this is why I think it's one of the most important things. In 1961, most people in Russia and the world didn't know Baba Yar. It looked like a park. Who made it showed it to the world was a Russian who had to go against everything that he was in order to reveal to the world. So I have to say, you can read the whole poem online. It's probably one of the bravest poems I've ever heard, because his life was at risk, and he would not let the people that died there, memory be desecrated. May their memories always be for a blessing. And when we go through this week of memory, unafraid to combat evil and to come out on the other side. Shabbat Shalom. Cantor has a song prepared.
It's on 673, sorry.
673, and this is a song that's a Purim song, but actually I have no idea why it's about Purim. Why is it about Purim? Do you know?
Oh, it's about, victory over Amalek. And
Oh,
victory
there
over
you go.
Haman.
Okay, there you go.
Make your plans, they will be annulled. Scheme against us. It will be to no avail, for God is with us.
It's
It's
such
a
a fun
dir-
song, so I didn't know.
It's direct, statement to Haman, Amalek, and all of his descendants.
Wonderful, thank you.
Utsu etsu vitu far, da pruda vavilo yakum. Utsu etsu vitu far, da pruda vavilo yakum ki Immanuel. Utsu etsu vitu far, da pruda vavilo yakum ki Immanuel. Utsu etsu vitu far, da pruda vavilo yakum. Utsu etsu vitu far, da pruda vavilo yakum ki Immanuel. Utsu etsu vitu far, da pruda vavilo yakum ki Immanuel. Utsu etsu vitu far. Clap your hands. Da pruda vavilo yakum. Utsu etsu vitu far, da pruda vavilo yakum ki Immanuel. Utsu etsu vitu far, da pruda vavilo yakum ki Immanuel.
It's so fun. That's such a fun song. I had no idea it had such an important meaning.
I had a recording of this when I was a child, and I had challenged myself to try to sing it faster and faster and faster.
It's a tongue twister. It's like that, and it's wonderful in Yiddish, right?
No, this is Hebrew,
Oh, it's Hebrew.
but
okay.
it was a Jewish klezmer, orchestra, that, and then they would go and right into Avenu Shalom Alechem was part of the medley.
It's real defiance against all the oppressors in the world. Let's rise together. Sorry, Cantor. For Eleno, I'd say let's open our ark, but I think our ark is covered there. 586. 586.
Aleinu לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמענו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהן, וגור עלינו ככל המונם. אנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא.
Page 591. You may be seated. And we're going to turn to a mourner's Kaddish. The mourner's Kaddish, which can be found on page 598. And actually, one of the ways that we remember is together. We remember together. That's what we do when we're in our own families. We all help with our memory, but when we're remembering people, the list that the congregation makes that we light up on the side of the room is one of the most important things that we do as a community to really help remember everyone who helped build this community and has been part of it, or our extended network as well. We are remembering, and forgive me, there was one person I wanted to add to the list. We're remembering Lisa Fellman, who will be buried next week. She's right around the same age as me, and a very sad loss. Next Tuesday, there'll be a funeral service for her. We're also remembering Eric Duval, Leslie Schumann-Kramer, Carol Macon, Jean Rothstein, Liana Shaman, and Lillian Ungerleader, who died in the last 30 days. And on our yard site list from years past, we remember Harold Bass, Ray Biter, Willard Berger, Samuel Block, Polly Brogadier, Alvin David Cantor, Marvin M. Green, Sylvia Grossman, Leonard Grate, Jacqueline Gugino, Joseph Gugino, Geraldine Horowitz, Arthur Jad, Leonard Kaplan, Marvin Kranitz, Carolyn Landau, Ann Marenka, Jean Ryan, Maddie Schoenfield, Edward Schuller, Marvin P. Seller, Sarah Sellers, Rose Simon, Adele Singer, Gussie Spivak, Cheryl Mesnikoff Steitzel, Lester Strauss, Dr. Hyman Tatuski, and Ruth Weiner. If there's other names you want to mention, just raise your hand. Yeah. Is that there was a little 3-year-old that.
That was last week. Grant Babco is the husband of one of my sister's oldest friends. She lost her mother 3 weeks ago, long battle with cancer, and then last Sunday her husband died suddenly.
Oh, Grant Babco. Oh my God, you're kidding me.
Susan Kelly and Dodie Fuller. My friend's 101-year-old aunt died this morning. Rena Nelson.
That's all I can say. Let's, those of you whose custom it is to rise, please rise. Again, page 598. Yitgadal, v'yitkadash, shemei rabbah, v'yalma, divrach, hirtei, v'yamlik malchutei, v'chayachon, v'yamachon, v'chayed, echol beit Yisrael, v'agalav, v'izman, kariv, v'yamru, amen. Yehei shemei rabbah, v'varach, le'olam, olmeo maya. Yitbarak, v'yishtabach, v'yitpa'ar, v'yitramam, v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar, v'yitalev, v'yitalal, shemei dekudashav, rechu. Leila min kol berchata v'shirata, tushvachata v'nechamata, tamiran bi'alma v'yimur amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimur amen. Oseh shalom v'yimur amav, huya seh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. May the one who creates harmony and high bring peace to us, to all Israel, to all the world, and we say amen. You may be seated. Zikronam livracha. May their memory be for a blessing. I'd like to invite up Bruce Chorus again to offer our announcements.
I've got a long list. And I edited it down. Shabbat shalom again, everyone. Some nights we want to come to temple. Some nights we need to come to temple for services. And whatever reason you have tonight, I hope that tonight's service brought you some comfort and whatever you were looking for. Thank you to Linda Bergman for serving as our service greeter tonight. Thank you to Rabbi Alex Cantor Frank and Paul Staley for a lovely and really inspiring service tonight. Where there's so much going on in the world right now that's not good, and being here, I think helps. So thank you for that. We have a very busy weekend of activities. Tomorrow morning, we will have Torah study at 9 a.m., the Shabbat morning service and Kiddush luncheon, the virtual kiddish luncheon at 11 I always, when I say virtual luncheon, I just picture people with like digital food and stuff, but it's not. They're just getting together online. The website has the links for that. The Community Religious School will meet Sunday morning, and that will be in person. It's nice to have them back in person, and they will be celebrating Purim. Then Sunday morning at 11, the women of Shir Shalom will be here to prepare the Mishlach Manot bags. Those are the Purim gift bags that they're given out in the community, which is a wonderful thing that they do. If you need information on that, contact Elaine Kellick. And then, as the rabbi mentioned earlier, Sunday night at 7, he and Cantor Frank will be joining other members of the local clergy for an interfaith prayer vigil for Ukraine. That's at North Presbyterian Church, our friends over on North Forest Road. That is sponsored by the Williamsville Clergy Association, and it will be live streamed through North Presbyterian Church's website, so that has the information on it. Knock, knock. Lest we forget, Purim is coming up, and that means, as you can see, our 10th anniversary Purim spiel. Wow. And what we're doing is we're doing something really special this year, and that's kind of revisiting spiels past. As you can see, we have the posters there, weaving them all together, kind of a nice trip down Purim musical memory lane, and it should be a lot of fun. That will be Wednesday night at 7 o'clock p.m. here in the sanctuary, and as the rabbi mentioned, it is now in person. The cast was always going to be here, a very small group, but we are allowing attendance, which I think is great. Make sure you make a reservation to Joanne. We do need an accurate head count, but we're not limiting it, so please, the more the merrier. And if you can't make it, it will be live streamed. I can tell you it is a hoot. So please join us. And it'll be on Boxcast, Facebook, and YouTube if you can't make it. If you responded in time before the deadline, the drive-through for the Hamantash and boxes will be that same day from 4 to 5 p.m. And then capping it all off, the grand prize drawing of the High Club right after the spiel. And there, you can still get tickets. I'm not bothering. Joanne never puts my name in anyway. But if you still want to get tickets for the grand prize drawing, you can certainly see Joanne. Next Friday night, we will be right back here in the sanctuary, and unless otherwise notified, we're in person. And as I mentioned a couple weeks ago, we have gone from the assessing it weekly and letting you know stage to we're in person unless otherwise notified. And then last week, the big step, which was to go from masks required to masks recommended. And that was a big step as well. So knock on wood, we will continue that way. Most Friday nights, the gift shop is open before the services when Sue Frank can be here. She's having a Passover sale for the month of March. Passover items, 20% off. If there's anything else you see in there that you like, make her an offer. We're clearing out the shop, so we're going to get all sorts of new stuff. We will continue to evaluate all events and protocols on a week-by-week basis, and of course, our priority is to keep you guys safe. If you need anything at all, reach out to the rabbi, the cantor, Todd, when he's in town, or Joanne or myself. Please help yourself to an Onig to go as you leave. And by the way, if you would like to sponsor an Onig to go for a special occasion or no occasion at all, just talk to Joanne. It'll save her having to bake all the cookies and wrap them up individually. It's always nice to give her a little help. The woman works so hard around here. I tell you, it's a good thing we do not have a shower in this building. She would never go home. Anyway, and Shabbat Shalom. And again, seriously, come Wednesday night. It's an opportunity. Our last big event in this room was the Purim Spiel 2 years ago, Megillah Mia. 250 people in this room. 5 nights later, which was March 13th. So this Sunday is the 2-year anniversary of that, March 13th.
Friday the 13th.
No, it was Friday that year.
Right. I'm saying it's the actual on the date. We had 5 people in the sanctuary: Joanne, Paul, Cantor, Rabbi, and myself. And it was a very long time before we were back in here. And I got to tell you, even last year on the high holidays, when we could be back in person, I bet we didn't have 250 people at any one service on the high holidays. We had extra services so we could have more social distancing. So I would say that the Purim Spiel 2 years ago, 250 people, we haven't hit that number yet. One day we will. But in the meantime, come Wednesday night. Shabbat Shalom.
And the back was closed, right? I mean, the back was closed. We didn't even have it open, to the social hall. It's a room, just this room.
I think you have a song prepared for Purim, 673, Chag Purim, one of the old favorites.
So when we talk about our noise makers, Havana Risha, Rash, 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 we think about the noise that the grogger makes, right? When we're trying to blot out Haman's name, right? So you can, spin those noise makers, or you can. So we're just going to imitate the sound of the groggers. The holiday of Purim is a great day for the Jews. There are masks, groggers, songs, and dances. Come, let's make noise with our groggers. Rush, rush, rush. Chag Purim. Chag Purim, Chag Purim, Chag Gadol u'Layehudim, Masechot Rashanim, Zmirot Rekudim. Havana Risha, Rash, Rash, Rash. Havana Risha, Rash, Rash, Rash. Havana Risha, Rash, Rash, Rash. Parashanim. Purim Day, what a happy holiday. Masquerade on parade, sing and dance and play. Havana Risha, Rash, Rash, Rash. Havana Risha, Rash, Rash, Rash. Havana Risha, Rash, Rash, Rash. Parashanim.
I can hear the groggers. Herm, you were the very first person who came today. You want to come up here and you get the challah. He came in through the snow. God bless him. I don't even know. He took the safe driving class. That's how he arrived here. But Herm, we're going to give you the challah to take home. So lift that up in honor. The rabbis say the people that come and open and start everything in the synagogue, they go right to heaven. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. As we came in peace, may you leave in peace. Shabbat shalom. It's yours.